Alright, here we are, made it back to Minnesota. I thought moving back to Minnesota would actually make me happier, but the anxiety that I have and the sort of emotional pain I have is just the same. I actually kind of miss New York, but this might be just because I haven't settled back in Minnesota yet and haven't adjusted to the change, but I'm sort of inclined to think that this sort of feeling exists in my head, and no matter what environment I'm in, I'll still feel this way. I felt this way for so long, and it never seems to really go away. It does fluctuate from time to time, I feel much better today than I did 2 days ago, but it's kind of just something I've learned to live with and learning to live with. I know there's a lot of people who feel the same way, living with this sort of mental illness, anxiety, depression. Seems to be pretty popular these days. As dark as this sounds, sometimes I kind of just wish that I didn't exist. Through my life, I feel like I've experienced more pain and sadness over joy and true happiness. Obviously, I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to have these kind of thoughts, but they're always kind of just there, looming, waiting, and I can't really help it, Notably, the times where I feel much happier are when I'm with someone, or I feel like someone is there for me and has my back. This could be a romantic interest or even just a close friend, but I'm kind of caught in this weird loop. I want to be around people who not only care and respect me, but also share my same values of nonviolence towards animals. The thing is, most people aren't vegan. 99% of people aren't vegan, so it's almost like it's even harder to find those people who have those same values as me. And I totally understand, people can change, I did. Most people aren't exposed to what it actually means to be vegan yet. But still, this is why it's so hard, because I'm surrounded by people who don't live the same values as I do, so it's harder to connect with most people. I mean, most people say that they're against animal abuse, but they still aren't vegan. It's just completely dishonest and hypocritical. How did we get to this point where everyone says they're against animal abuse, but everyone still supports animal abuse every single day, 3 times a day? It's just hypocrisy on a mass scale, and it's truly hard to live in a world filled with people like this, just rife with cognitive dissonance and actively supporting the very thing that I'm fighting against every single day. And I can't just ignore this and be oh, I respect your choice to not be vegan. No, I don't respect the fact that you pay people to torture animals so you can eat their body parts. I don't respect that. Why would I respect that? Why should I respect your feelings if you don't even respect someone else's right to life? When you're paying for animal products, you're paying for someone to commit the worst type of animal abuse on earth. Imagine if this were any other injustice, oh, I respect your choice to abuse children, or I respect your choice to catcall women. No, there's a victim at the end of this choice, and I don't respect your choice to violate someone else's body. I even see vegans saying that we should respect the choice of non-vegans. Literal vegans saying that we should respect people who abuse animals. I mean, I understand there's sort of a spectrum, most people don't know about this, but the more you become aware of what this is, what veganism means and what happens to animals and animal agriculture, the more morally culpable you become. So I think people forget, when we're talking about veganism, that we're talking about what exactly happens to animals, and that's why I think we need to constantly be descriptive and use accurate words to describe what's happening to animals. Otherwise, we make it sound like it's not nearly as bad as what it actually is. I mean, we're raping animals to impregnate them, kidnapping their children and killing them, torturing them and enslaving them in these farms, and murdering them by the billions in slaughterhouses by slicing their necks open while they choke on their own blood. veganism literally just opposes that. Like, that's all it is to be vegan. Obviously, there's like a massive like disconnect. Like, people don't see the abuse happening in front of them, and it's much harder to like imagine it than it is to actually see it. And that's one of the hard things. Like, that's why I think it's so important to show like slaughterhouse footage and stuff, because it doesn't lie. Like, it's right there, and showing that type of footage really like kind of puts it more into perspective on what we're actually talking about, because veganism is often conflated with like health or the environment, which those are more like side effects, like good side effects of veganism. But the main reason why people go vegan in the first place is for the animals. Like, if you literally look up the definition of veganism, it has to do with animal rights and avoiding animal exploitation and animal harm as far as is possible and practicable. I mean, the mainstream kind of paints veganism as like a diet or like even an environmental movement, which it's not really. It's not a diet, it's an ethical stance against the exploitation and abuse of animals. Like, I really think as vegans we need to make this more clear to people. If people want to eat like a whole food plant-based diet, vegan diet, and be healthier and do that for the environment as well, like, that's totally cool. I understand. It's amazing. I love that. But veganism is about animals. It's not about health or the environment or anything. So I'm kind of getting a little off track here, but I just want to look at this post from George Martin of Carnism Debunked. It says, "Going vegan is like turning a key that unlocks a chest that reveals a dark side of humanity you never knew existed." And then he goes on to say in the description, "I've seen a lot of disturbing comments lately on my social media posts, comments from people I'd have assumed were good people long ago, before I turned the key. This is truly the hardest part of being vegan. Not the shopping, not the restaurants, not wondering what to cook, but becoming aware that people with sick, disturbed, apathetic, and cruel minds make up a large part of your own society. Hashtag Vystopia." And if you look at the comment section, people are commenting that they feel pretty much the same as how I just described. One person says, "The beginning of the discovery of the biggest crime in history. Never in my life will I ever go back to it." Another person says, "I feel exactly the same. I used to wonder how people could carry out those historical atrocities I read about in the history books, but it's pretty easy to see when you realize how humans react to animal rights." Another person says, "It's like tearing off a blindfold of the most sadistic predatory behavior and mass psychotic insanity that we have been brainwashed into unthinkingly participate in." Another person says, "I was just saying the same thing yesterday. It is truly the most difficult part of being vegan. It's a burden to carry, but I wouldn't want it any other way." It's kind of like the Matrix when Neo takes the red pill. The red pill basically symbolizes that he's ready to accept the truth and learn about the Matrix that he's been in his whole life. That's what you do when you go vegan. You take the red pill and learn the truth, and you can never go back. Someone else says, "Man, I couldn't agree more. It's literally the only hard part about being vegan, but holy shit, is it ever hard. Feel trapped and isolated in my thoughts and so lonely in this revelation that I live amongst barbaric, apathetic psychopaths disguised as reasonable people. I spent 4 years in jail for murder I didn't commit, and that didn't even make me half as depressed as what seeing people's true nature, and more importantly, what they do to animals has." Wow, that is powerful. Another person says, "Exactly right. There was a recent study done showing vegans are socially unattractive because they are considered moralistic and narrow-minded. So in other words, non-vegans are immoral and vegans should lower themselves in their moral standards in order to fit in. Yes, sad to recognize that people trying to do the right thing are vilified while those contributing to enslavement, rape, abuse, and death of sentient beings are seen as normal." Another one says, "This is spot on. I cried my eyes out and walked around in a daze for days once I made the connect. I want to scream on the top of my lungs, what's going on? What's going on?" Another one says, "Yep, I couldn't sleep for my first 6 weeks of being vegan. It was a spiritual awakening. Best thing I ever did still." Yeah, that's the thing, is like, it's a hard pill to swallow. Like, going vegan, you start learning about these things, and it's just like, man, it's almost like you want to go back, but you don't, because you know you're doing the right thing. It's this crazy world we're living in. I don't even know how to describe. Another one says, I had friends that I considered one of the kindest humans I'd ever known. I was shocked that when it comes to animal abuse, they are indifferent, ignorant, and heartless. I can totally relate to that. There's plenty of people like in my life who I've talked to who otherwise seem like really nice people, incredibly like kind-hearted people, empathetic people even, like, and then when it comes to animal agriculture, animal abuse, like they are totally indifferent and ignorant and heartless. Like it just doesn't make any sense, because in other aspects of their life they're actually like good people. But I don't know, like, what is it about this that people just don't get it? I just don't understand. Ignorance is bliss so long as you're not its victim. Wow, that is super powerful. There's a really good quote by Isaac Bashevis Singer that says, human beings see oppression vividly when they're the victims, otherwise they victimize blindly and without a thought. And that totally makes sense. Like, when you're the one being oppressed, it's so clear because you're the one feeling the pain. But when it's someone else, it's harder to see that. And I think this is what humans need to practice, is empathy, because it's the golden rule, really. Like, put yourself in someone else's shoes, like treat others the way you want to be treated. If you wouldn't want something done to you, you shouldn't do it to someone else, and that this applies to animals as well. It's like the more you grow up and understand the world, the more you kind of like dislike people. I mean, I don't want to have this sort of attitude towards people and towards the world, like that's kind of like, you know, like a grumpy old man, like, I'm so mad at the world. Like, I don't want to be that person. But I mean, I used to love like being around people, meeting new people, going to social events and just connecting with people. And I still think there's hope for change in the world, and that's why I'll keep fighting for it. I mean, I might as well while I'm here, because after all,
rebellions are built on hope.
But still, there's just so much suffering in the world, and I mean, the numbers are staggering. There's 3 trillion animals being killed every year for taste pleasure and human greed. 3 trillion innocent animals who suffer needlessly on the behalf of humans. I mean, humans truly are the worst transgressors of all the species, and all the earth, and to each other as well. We are so flawed in so many different ways. Like, the reasons why people won't go vegan, or like the main reasons why people won't go vegan, are taste, convenience, tradition, and habit. And like, how are those trivial reasons more important than the life of an animal, but also the life of our planet and the life of our human existence in general, like the human species? Like, pandemics, where do pandemics come from? Animal agriculture. It even goes beyond that, like world hunger and lots of human rights issues are because of animal agriculture. And I just don't see how any sane, logical, rational person, which I feel like most people should be, they should be logical and rational and even compassionate and empathetic. Like, I don't see how people can favor their taste, pleasure, convenience, tradition, or habit over all of these things. And this is what veganism is. Like, veganism addresses a lot of these issues and alleviates that suffering in the world. And honestly, realistically, things aren't getting any better. Like, as much as we see people going vegan and all these new vegan products and vegan restaurants, etc., there's even more non-vegans coming into existence, and this increases the demand for animal products, so more and more animals are killed every single year, and as a result of that, we're going to see more and more pandemics, and we're going to see the effects of climate change as well. My fear is we're just not moving fast enough in the right direction, and I hope by making these videos I can not only encourage people to think more about veganism and get this discussion going, but also encourage vegans to become more active and fight just a little bit harder for animal liberation. Because at the end of the day, the reason why we have so many of these issues, like I mentioned before, stems from the fact that we don't take animal abuse seriously. And we vegans are the only ones that are really going to like get people to understand that. And I think that's a really important point that we need to, you know, use in our activism. Like, so many of the issues in the world come from the fact that we don't take animal abuse seriously, and we view animals as products. And objects and commodities rather than sentient beings who have wants and desires and emotions just like humans do. I mean, we're the same in all the ways that matter. Like, we both have eyes to see, ears to hear, mouths to eat, hearts that beat, all these things, and all these issues basically just stem from the fact that, like I said, I think this is the third time I said it, but we don't take animal abuse seriously. So vegans, please push hard. Don't be apologetic. Don't let people tear you down, call you extremist and things like this. Like, compassion seems radical in a world full of violence. So that's a quote. I don't know where it's from, but just take it. I don't feel by any means like I'm a master at this. Like, I'm trying, you know, that's all I can do, and that's all you can do, and I encourage you to do the same. So pick up a camera, start a YouTube channel, do all these things. I have a video, how to start vegan activism, 5 ways to start vegan activism. I'm like tripping on my words. I had caffeine. I never have caffeine. Get a camera, put yourself in front of it, and start talking about animal rights, and post it on YouTube, post it on Facebook, TikTok, whatever. Instagram. Post videos. Do animal rights activism. Do it. I had so much caffeine, I'm going crazy right now. So yeah, anyways, like, thanks for letting me rant a little bit. Vegans, let's stick together. Let's get out there, do some activism for the animals. If you're in Minnesota, hit me up because I need some more vegan friends, and would love to do activism with you as well. So let's do it. Alright, if you want to support my work further, you can become a patron and click the link in the description, or just make a one-time donation to my activism. I would like to do this full-time eventually. That would be awesome. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. It helps in the algorithms and stuff like this, helps more people see it. And also subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification bell to see more videos like this and be up to date with all my videos. And leave a comment, tell me what you think about this topic. And until the next one, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks so much for watching.